Okay. And then I guess I guess you guys need to beware. So what I wanted to ask you is I briefly had spoken to Steve before he went to the meeting. He was supposed to get me some of the paperwork that he said that he was going to send me, but he said that he was kind of running behind because he had to go to the meeting.
Right.
And but in the midst of that, he was talking to me and he was just saying, about how not being able to trust you and so on and so forth. But he divulged something to me, Jordan, that I would really like to know, because I don't know what Steve's mindset is. But
Sure.
he divulged something to me that there was a situation with some of the marijuana. There was mold on it, and you decided to change some matrix and stuff on it or something like that.
Yep, I can tell you.
I need
that's
to. I need
that's
to let
funny.
you. I need
Yep,
to
that's
know
funny.
about this because this
I will
is
give you
very serious.
Yep, I will give you 100% of the lowdown. So what happened there, and this can be verified by not only Jared Brown, but also our lawyer who was aware of this was going on. When we took over the King Street facility, we inherited 100 pounds of cannabis.
Okay.
And some of that cannabis, the reason why it had been stockpiled is some of that cannabis had tested positive for mold. And Eric was adamant, absolutely adamant, that cannabis be sold. That was absolutely adamant. He said, I don't care what's on it, it has to be sold. And I was instructed by Eric, and a lot of people knew about this. Like I said, Jared and Eric knew about it, Steve knew about it, and John knew about it. I was instructed to use different samples so that we would ensure that cannabis batches would test clean, and I'm right there. I did that under orders by my management.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, yep. And that 100 pounds of cannabis sold. And I can't. And I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this, Keisha.
My nerves are bad, Jordan. I was
well.
hoping
Hey,
that
Keisha,
he was lying. Oh.
Well, here's the thing. Is he can point that at me because I was instructed to do so, and I did so according to my supervisor, which is Steve and Eric at that point in time. That was not something I was too fond of. But I will say I examined the cannabis myself. I know what bad cannabis looks like and what's unfit for sale, and this is no excuse. But it wasn't like this stuff was nasty, moldy. It was simply to ensure that cannabis passed tests so that we could sell it. And that, like I said, Keisha, I was instructed to do so. That was not my decision. That was not my orders. Again,
okay.
I'm not at the top of the chain here.
Okay. I don't even know if, okay. Oh, Jesus. So,
honestly, I'm shocked that he would tell you that because, like I said, that's verifiable. That's verifiable with Jared and with John. John said, "Hey, I'm going to look the other way. I can't be a part of this." Which
it looks like it's he's definitely putting up everything that he has against you because.
Well, at the end of the day, Keisha, I was following orders, and like I said, I was not okay with that because that is against the way I do business. But at the same time, I was ordered to do that by Eric Logan and Steve, which at that point, Eric Logan was about to be CEO of Great Northern Brands, or he was CEO of Great Northern Brands, which would effectively make him CEO of Great Northern Cannabis. So at that point, I was under Eric's leadership to make to make those moves. And I did as I was told, unfortunately.
So, I guess the other thing's true. That it was, I can't even talk.
Yeah.
The other thing was that, I guess there was something that you had changed something on. Something was tested. Some marijuana was tested. I guess it came back with, CBD that it was CBD or something like that, but it really wasn't. It had a high THC and you guys sold it anyways.
That was all part of that. That was all part of that scheme. Yeah, that was all part of that swapping of the samples to ensure that the samples tested positive. And like I said, Keisha, man, I have been.
Hold on, Jordan. Okay. So why is he all of a sudden trying to come up and point it at you if he had a part in it? Is he trying to make you take the rap if something happens?
Keisha, this all goes back to me sleeping with Leah or me being prejudiced against the HR person. None of this is true. None of this has any merit to stand on.
I know that.
And I don't know why this is all coming out, but I tell you, you call Jared right now and he will convey that was an order given to us by Eric and Steve. What
happened with the THC one? Was there an individual that had an issue with it? He said there was. Was there somebody that came and made a complaint about it?
I'm not really sure what exact situation you're referring to.
So
with the CBD one, but I know there was one. Okay, there was a CBD strain that was kind of a 50-50 CBD strain that RC Tinderbox had been growing.
Okay.
And I didn't realize that strain was a CBD strain, and so a THC strain got put in its place as a substitute for that strain before it went to test. And so the test results came back as that strain tested like 19% THC, but no CBD. And when it should have been like 8% THC and 8% CBD, that's kind of what it tested before. So that's probably what he's referring to. That's all the same situation. Again, that was the 100 pounds of weed that we inherited when we took over RC Tinderbox.
So did we have a individual that bought that stuff and then came back and said that they had issues with that?
I think in that situation, that was very, very early on in the game, and we had been growing a strain called AMS, and this was at Cinnabar. Okay. And AMS tested at about a 17% THC. It was not a CBD strain whatsoever. We sent it out to CanTest, and this was when CanTest was brand new. And CanTest tested it, and they gave us the test results back, and it came back at like 14% CBD or something like that. And we're like, how is this right? And we went back to them and said, hey, this is not right. Our historics show that this is a THC strain. And CanTest was absolutely adamant that they had tested it properly and that no samples had gotten mixed up, and that's what it was. And they refused to test it again. And so we were forced, and that was in the very early stages when we were still kind of navigating a lot of things at that point. But so what happened was a customer bought some of that stuff. They made some oil thinking that they were going to make CBD oil. They actually went and had that oil tested, and it tested high THC and no